All right. Get everything started here. All right, looks like the tubes just went live. Get the profile going. All right, Facebook's good. All right, hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, just getting my morning cardio done for you guys and gals. I'm going to hopefully have a good stream. We're doing a lot of streaming right now. A lot of it I'm going to triple dip, double dip on my different platforms. I'm on my tubes, on my Facebook fitness page, and I got my profile going separately on my phone. So again, streams have been going good the last couple of days. Actually, they've been going really good. So hopefully that's a trend that continues here. I think that it's going to be. Hopefully I made the tubes public here. Let me double check that. Did we make it public? Sometimes it's hard. Yeah, we're public. All right, good. Good. All right, first person in here. But yeah, so you guys, as soon as you get in, like, comment, start dropping comments. Let's get some conversations going. Let's keep this lively and interesting. And I'm hoping we get a good one. We've had some good chats here. Coffee chat went pretty good this morning. Fair number of commenters, donations. All of that's rolling good. I'm going to do this cardio one. Obviously, we did the jogging already, ran my 5K. Again, that went great. So again, we're just going to keep this flowing. Because of what's going on with all my stuff, with everything I'm doing right now, I'm probably going to be live several hours a day. All right. And I think that's reasonable with what I do with my business, with my outreach. We're going to hit diverse number of topics. I'm going to hit fitness stuff. I'm going to hit more current events like we did. That's great for outreach on all my platforms. Even some of my comments on Facebook on some of that have kind of picked up. Right? It's a lot of people have had things to say about all that. So let's get in and really discuss other stuff. Obviously, I'm still running everything's fitness primary because I'm a strength coach. I'm an athlete. It's what we do. But we're going to delve into these other topics a lot more moving forward, right? Be a big part of what we do. I'm at a point where I'm able to do those things now with stuff happening in my life. I don't have to lay as low as I have been. Marco says, so high frequency heavy deadlift is recoverable, assuming volume is low. If the volume's kept in check, yeah. Marco, the thing is, if you're going to do that, that becomes your primary posterior chain work, though. So let's be clear. You're seeing me getting stronger again on those deadlifts doing that. So my posterior chain's bouncing back. I'm not doing other stuff. So the thing is, when you go that route, you don't have a lot of room for other stuff for your posterior chain. That's where people make the mistake. Like if you're going to use deadlifts, then use the deadlift. Right? Maybe you get those from reverse hypers or something. Yeah. But you're not going to come in and do heavy deadlifts 3 days a week like I'm doing, and then do a bunch of good mornings and glute ham raises. Like you can just forget that. Unless you're on enough gear. You know, if you're 25, you're blasting a gram of test, plus a little other stuff, maybe another secondary anabolic on it. Okay, fine. But generally, if you're doing that, you don't have a lot left of your posterior chain, but that'll make it grow. Like I said, maybe some reverse hypers. You know, so that's the way to look at it. Like if you're going to use the deadlift, then use the deadlift. And it's completely viable. It works. I've done that before. Right? Yeah, I agree, Conrad. Most are reverse hypers. So that's where people mess up with it. They're like, well, no, it's not going to be enough. Well, it is enough. I mean, does anyone not understand? I feel like people lose the plot here. They're like, but deadlifts can't grow your hamstrings. It's like, yes, they can. Why would you think that they can't? What about an AB style with deadlift and RDL, just an R and GHR on B? So why would you want? Hey, Marco, it sounds to me like you're scared to use the deadlift to build the posterior chain. Dean, hit like, appreciate it, Dean. Get them likes going early on. So think of that would be my question, Marco. So why? That would be the question. Why? What is it you're seeking to get out of this? I'm not saying you can't do that, but my question is why? I think you're back to the point of being scared to use the deadlift to grow the posterior chain. It's that fear people have. It's just not enough because all this person told me the stimulus to fatigue is wrong. It works great. You know? And I'm not saying you can't have some other stuff in there, but if you're going to do high frequency pulling, then just deadlift. You can just deadlift. It's fine. It's okay. You build a monstrous deadlift. What's up, David? How you doing? Getting some regulars in here now. Ronnie asked me on Facebook, I was wondering if you did many rack pulls below the knee. No, I don't. And how effective you think they can be. Do I use them for conjugate clients as max effort lifts? Yes, sometimes. Do I think that they're effective? Can they be effective for very advanced lifters who need specific weak point training? Yes. Generally speaking, if you're an intermediate to early advanced lifter, you're not specifically targeting weak points with the rack pulls. I think they're less effective than just doing a deadlift. Also, keeping in mind, they are destructive to equipment. You need to know what you're doing, right? I'm going to tell you right now, if you buy your own equipment and it's generally inferior to the deadlift for most purposes, you're going to get real upset when you get less gains and you have to buy $500 of new equipment. You know what I mean? Like if you own a deadlift bar, for example, Ronnie, don't use a deadlift bar on a rack pull ever. You're going to need a new deadlift bar. You will ruin your bar. All right. So understand the need for the rack pull. It's a very specific exercise below the knee rack pull that is useful for certain weak point training for very advanced to elite pullers. Have I used it? Sure. You've seen me do them with 550 pounds on a rare occasion, doing conjugate and stuff. So generally speaking, if you're a man who deadlifts below 500 pounds, it shouldn't even be on your radar. That makes sense. It's one of those exercises where if you're dealing with a sticking point mid-shin, right? You're dealing with a sticking point mid-shin on a max deadlift, like you're missing 600 pounds right there, right? You pull 550 clean. You're missing 600 pounds right at that point. It might be a viable assistance exercise for you. If you're setting the rack pull about an inch below where your bar sticks, right? In that case, it can be viable. But if you're a 450 pound deadlifter, I wouldn't even be thinking about it. But if you're missing 600 or you're missing 700 pounds at that point, that's where you're failing it. Okay. Yeah, it can be useful. It's going to build less muscle though, and it's going to beat your equipment up if you're using it for any other purpose. Right? So hopefully that's a good answer. All right, let's come back over to the tubes. Hey, Coach. Fatigue management is the problem. It can be, Dean. Peppermint, appreciate the like. Regulars in the house. Desmond, any mental cues for the barbell row? A bit paranoid about my form. Most important cue for the barbell row. Notice you did not say bent over row. You said barbell row. I'm going to assume you know what that is. Barbell row always means off the floor. That is the definition of the exercise. Most important cue, I think, is to turn the elbows out at the bottom. On the reset, turn the elbows out. One of the best cues I can give you. David says, at the gym, I prefer to lift weights and then run. Is there any benefit to ever switching? No, I would not, never run before you lift. Don't create that sort of fatigue. Okay, I'm sorry. Let me apologize. What's your primary sport? If you are a runner, a competitive runner, is the only situation where it may be acceptable. Do you compete in marathons or triathlons or ultra marathons? So there is an exception. I hate to say there's never an exception. So you're wrong, Desmond. It's never do. No. If you're a triathlete, it can make sense. If you do ultra marathons, it can have merit. If you do not compete in a running sport, though, I would never, ever, ever, ever run before lifting. Okay. Michael, hey, Michael, I'm also on Facebook if you'll drop in there too. I know you're a regular in there. Coach, are there any specific lifts you tend to avoid prescribing to clients because of the higher risk of injury if performed incorrectly? Preacher curls on that list. Any cleans, I tend to be very, very, especially virtual coaching. Right? Trying to think of any others. I mean, I don't know. Right? Those sort of things, I suppose. No, I have clients who do dips, but it depends on the client, Marco. You ever go back to training your neck direct? I'm only really training triceps directly this season now. Maybe I might one day, Desmond. So here's your question, Desmond. Are you asking me, is there a possibility I might, or are you asking me, do I currently have plans to? Those are two separate questions. So whenever you guys ask, hey, coach, will you ever, well, you need to specify, do I currently have plans to? Is it something I'm planning to do in 7.5 months? Or are you asking me, is there any possibility one day? Because those are two very different things. Competitive runners call lifting weights cross training so they don't lift as hard as it. Yeah, it's true, Peppermint. That's definitely true. All right, we probably got enough for the profile here. As long as we get something up, right? And we'll turn it into a reel. We got nothing else on Facebook. Ronnie asked this question and then kind of petered off. Dudes don't be liking with their supplemental lifts, and I'm like, if you don't have the 500 pounds, I wouldn't even think about it. Same thing. Some of these lifts people want to do for their bench. I'm like, you bench less than 300 pounds, I wouldn't even worry about it. People are like, are you serious? But this guy, this great coach recommends it. Well, yeah, he recommends it for elite lifters. He recommends it for 500 plus pound bench pressers. He recommends it for 700 plus pound deadlifters. What does it have to do with you? They're very specific movements, right? Weighted crunches even needed if leg raises and planks are done on one core of steel. I don't know. Are you asking me, do you need a third exercise for your abs if you already do 2 ab exercises? Probably not. But if you want to, you can. Marco said, is stability important for better motor unit recruitment? A lot of science-based influencers claim machines are better because they're more stable and thus more motor unit recruitment. Why would they be? It sounds to me like they're just making up nonsense because they're lazy. I'm just going to call it like it is. There's no evidence of this. Are they claiming? So, okay, motor unit recruitment. Hear about neural drive? No, you need to be doing the biggest exercises possible. In fact, you need to be going heavier. If your goal is motor unit recruitment, you need to add more weight to the bar. If your goal is motor unit recruitment, you need to be hitting 1 rep maxes. What are they talking about? Why are they doing 10 rep sets if they care about motor unit recruitment? They need to be doing maxes. Put 600 pounds on the damn bar. Oh, there I went on their science. What are you talking about? They need to be maxing out on if their goal is motor unit recruitment, every exercise needs to be a 1 rep max with as many muscles as possible. Then you just get rid of all the isolation stuff, all the rep work, nothing but heavy singles if that's all they care about. Max out. What are they talking about? If they're talking hypertrophy, they're going to say science, but do they have any evidence? Because every study that I've seen that's looked at it says big compound movements grow the same muscles just as much as isolation movements do, if volumes are similar or perceived exertion. So what are they talking about? What science are they basing this on? None. They're not basing it on science. They're basing it on them being lazy, useless pieces of shit who are scared to work hard. They are lazy. That is their entire motivation. That is the entire motivation for these things that they come up with. They are just so lazy that they're scared to put in even the most remote amount of effort in the gym. Because I'm sorry, squatting and deadlifting is not that hard. I do it 3 days a week. They're just insanely lazy people. Terrified to put in even the most remote amount of effort, so they come up with nonsense like this. Not even based on reality. And the reason I say lazy is because training isn't that hard. I got in that conversation with David Neal the other day too. I'm going to get him to make a post about it. We were chatting in a Coach Bro video call, and he brought that up. He's like, why do you downplay what you do? You pretend it's so easy. I'm like, because it is easy. It's not difficult. He's like, dude, you like squat 500 pounds and you just go casually take 5K runs several times a week barefoot. He's like, that normal people don't do that. Like, that is hardcore. I'm like, it's not hardcore. It's easy. That's easy core. It's not hard. So to me, when I see these people who come up with this nonsense just because they're scared to get under a barbell, I just can't, for people who are claiming to be fitness people who are into training, I can't comprehend this level of laziness. I just can't. Because I'm sorry, deadlifting is just not that hard. Lifting weights is not difficult. You shouldn't need a pre-workout. You don't need to psych yourself out. Just go lift the weight. Look at what they present for evidence. Look at the results of their clients. Look at the track record there. I don't know, Stuart. I don't know how to tell you how to determine different people. But I mean, listen to, are they actually talking sense? Do they truly understand training? Do they have real long-term experience? Or are they trying to sell you something? Look and see also, are they trying to, is it marketable selling stuff? And I think this is a big, topic? Are they selling simplicity and effectiveness? Or they got a spin? I don't follow enough to even know. You want me to name 5 people? I don't think I can. I don't actually follow any influencers. Right? I don't follow any. Coach, would you consider bent rows as a hamstring work? I work with sets of 100 kilograms. I get decent. Point of contention. Are you going to get some carryover? Yes. Would I count it as a primary? Probably not. But if someone is deadlifting, could you count it towards your top 5 peers? I don't know. Hey, Stuart, I don't have an answer. Not when I'm doing cardio and I can't think the same. Fasted cardio, I'm not going to be able to sit down and give you a comprehensive list. Who are people I like, friends with, I enjoy their work? Christian Thibodeau, obviously Louis Simmons. I'd say Dave Tate. Alex Viada. Right? I think Dan John is great. Right? So you wanted 5 people. There we go. I named 5 coaches who I respect their work. 4 of whom I know, 1 of whom I don't. 3 of whom I know. I don't actually know Dave Tate or Dan John. The others are all guys I know. I think that's good, Marco. I think the results of their clients would be best. If someone has amazing results due to gear and genetics with all their clients, or do you even look? That's probably terrible. Are you coaching any other fitness influencers? No. I have in the past. Like I coached for several months. I coached Joe Fazer way years ago, like over 5 years ago, for a little while. That's been a long time though. And I know he went off and got pretty big in his own little niche. I got his deadlift to 405. Like we got his deadlift to 4 plates. Like he was struggling with that, and he hired me to get his deadlift and everything up, and we did. And then he moved on. And he's made a statement about it. Basically, he had said something like, "I have no idea. Hey, Marco, do you know as much as I do? You know more about what he's doing than I do. Based on that you heard a recent rumor, you literally know more than I do. I have no idea what he's done in the last 5 years. No clue. Right? What tips do you have for really liking shoulders and arms? You should train them." Hey, Stuart, because that's not a straightforward question. Meaning, I don't know what's going on with the person's genetics, their structure, what they consider to be lacking. But I mean, are they big? Like, do they have other muscles that are massive and those are lacking? And there's probably a genetic component. So really the only solution is to train them. Doesn't necessarily even mean isolation work, but they need to train them. But keeping in mind, I have no idea. So I'm going to assume you have video and photos on your profile. When I go to your channel, I'm going to see what you're talking about, right? So I'm going to go look right now, and I expect if you're going to ask a question like that about yourself, then I expect to see your videos. And there aren't. You made this account yesterday. No, I don't have any advice to give you. You don't have any of your training up. You don't have your physique up. There's nothing for us to look at. I have no advice on that. So you need to upload all that and then come back next time and ask, right? Because a lot of times what people think is lacking is because they don't look like a fitness influencer. Hey, Marco, are you asking me to go down my list and count? Have more clients on full body or upper lower? I don't know. Let me pull it up and look. All right. Uh, all right. I'm literally counting to get you an answer. That's how much I love you. Um, it's about an even split. I have one guy who's still on a body part split. Okay. Hey, Stuart, you didn't make this account a while ago. You made it yesterday. Hey, Coach, tell me a program will look like the Noble Natties.
So, I'm sorry, I didn't quite catch that.
Stop. No, Siri, please be quiet. You are not being talked to. Thank you. Okay, Dean, so you need to set up a consultation, your former client. You set up a consultation for drugs. So we need to have a gear talk consultation for what steroids you need to use to look like the Noble Natties. Right? I hate it when you're right. I don't even want to say the name, David, because then come back in. I wouldn't know. I haven't looked at his stuff in months. I have no idea if he's gone or not. I haven't even checked. Don't care. All right. So I guess Dean, let's get a steroid talk set up. Keep in mind, a lot of stuff's in flux, man. A lot of drugs are not available due to the nature of the black market. There's been some shifts this year due to the Chinese raw supply. So, see what the Noble Natties start to look. Some of them might look different. I don't know. Maybe that's why The Rock has gotten. Why would it be? No, David, that doesn't make sense. He's wealthy. Coach finish off that grifting fake natty, right? All those hate videos he made about me, and now he looks like he's gone. No, Stuart, I literally just looked. I mean, would you like me to read it out to you? Okay. So, I'm sorry, March the 12th. So, yeah, you made your account on March the 12th. So it's been, I'm sorry, I was thinking yesterday for some reason. So you made it in March the 12th, not September the 12th. All right. So, well, I don't know what to tell you on your other thing because people have these assumptions that they have a lagging body part and it's not even lagging. You know, I'll have a guy who's small and they're upset because they have 15-inch arms, but they don't have a 50-inch chest. They don't have big, massive lats. I don't know why. You know, they're perfectly proportionate, but because their arms don't look like Arnold's, they must have small arms. Their arms are lagging because they don't look like Arnold's arms. They don't have 19-inch guns. You know, and it's like, well, dude, you're 180 pounds. What do you expect, right? You're 180 pounds and you bench 225 for 5 reps. You know, like what do you think's going to happen? You know, so you never know with people. I've seen dudes who literally are convinced they have lagging arms and their arms are literally their best muscle group. But again, hey Stuart, I don't have any advice because I don't know where you're at with it. I mean, the only advice we can give is train them. You know, that's the best we can do, homie. Without further in-depth details, you can set up a consultation, I guess. So if you want me to go over it in detail and look at all your training, look at your training history, look at where you're at and give advice, that's a consultation then. But we don't have any data points. There's nothing on your channel. So there's literally no answer to your question. Do you, unless you worry about different heads of the biceps and triceps, you need to gain overall size. Yeah. Because notice you still didn't tell us anything about you. You didn't say your height, weight, what your lifts look like. You didn't say, hey, I benched 315 for 6 reps and my arms are still 15 inches, right? I'm 211.5 pounds. You didn't give us any data points, you know. So, you know, there's not much we can do with that, dude. Not a lot we can do with it. Hit that like though, guys. Let's get those engagements up. Come on now. Let's get all that flowing. Running Blog got good views though this morning. We had good supers in the coffee chat too. I've hit the like. Appreciate it, David. There you go. We got another one in here. You need to build a base for worrying about the fine intricacies. Yeah, I mean, even Arnold said you can't chisel a pebble. At what point, hey, Stuart, I don't have any info. Again, no offense intended, Stuart, but you've not given us any data points. There is no answer to your question without data points. I mean, I think you're lazy. I think the reason is you're probably lazy. And you know how I know you're lazy? You couldn't even type the basic information of your stats when asking the question. That tells me everything, right? That tells me everything that I need to know about your mindset. The fact that you couldn't even list how many years you've been training, your height, weight, what your lifts are, why, you know, with any of that, when I asked for that, I think the problem is that you were just a very lazy person. And if you can't do those things, then you're obviously not putting any effort into the gym. You know, and I think that's a fair response. You couldn't even list your body weight. You couldn't even say how much you bench. You didn't even say how long you've been training. You can't do that. So therefore, I know you're not putting any effort in the gym. That's the problem. All right. David said, I've enjoyed the last few lives you've done talking about recent events. Do you think? Yeah, I put that same post on Facebook and the community tab both. I've been making posts about this stuff too on Facebook. These things also. We're gonna do more of this. Do you have any 3-day-a-week clients who each do the big three twice a week? I have some who do them all 3. Because if we're doing A-B, nothing's being done twice. It's alternating every other. So you're going to get 1 and 2, 1 and 2. So I have guys who do all 3 of them, all 3 days too, like I do. It's a smaller group, right? Yeah, those posts, some of them have gotten, quite a bit. One of them got a few hundred comments, you know. Yeah, people care. They want that, especially from someone like me who's not super hardcore on either side. I don't think people realize that. Like these point in my life, I am not on either extreme end politically. Like if someone is really far left or maybe in a country that's very left, I might seem really right wing. I am less right wing than most of the people I know personally. I literally have friends, family, and neighbors who are way further to the right than me because of where I live, right? Here I'm considered a moderate. So, and I don't fully agree with the ideology of either side. I think there are problems with both. So I tend to look at a more reasoned approach to these topics. Michael asked, any fitness related books you'd recommend, Coach, for inspiration? I like all the West Side books. I've got quite a few different books. I mean, Starting Strength is good. I actually like Beyond Brawn by Stuart Robertson. So Beyond Brawn's not bad. They're just interesting books like that. If you're just looking for different ideas. As far as nutrition, anything that's in print is too far behind. I wouldn't buy books about nutrition unless it's a textbook. It's too far behind all the data. Get your nutrition information generally online. But a lot of good training books, training history, training philosophy, I think those are all interesting, ones that I think are just good to have. To scan through in your collection. I like the old I used to have Dinosaur Training by Brooks Kubrick. That was it's an interesting read. Yep, tough love, Coach. Yep. So, I gave Stuart the tough love. His response told me what the problem is. You can't even type the basics that I know you're not working. You're goofing off in the gym. Just call it like it is, man. The fact he hasn't responded shows, yeah, absolutely. Looks like I lost a like too, so he even disliked and then jumped out. He didn't like that. That's okay. We can live with that. We can live with that. Coach don't care. All right, Coach don't be caring. Yeah, he'll learn what he's probably young. Yeah, he probably is. He'll figure it out. He'll figure it out eventually. Probably on his phone most of the time he's in the gym. What? He's texting those girls, man. He's got to keep up with all the girls in his rotation, so he's got to text them. Wish him luck nonetheless. No, me either. I'm just giving tough love. I'm a coach. I coach for a living. I do give tough love. It's part of the game. Like people want results or not. People think I give tough love here. Imagine what I do with clients. Well, you want better progress than you're getting. All right. One of the conversations I've had to have with a client, maybe you should quit getting drunk every Friday night and doing coke. Maybe alcohol and cocaine are interfering with your gains. I train hard. I'm putting in the effort. Yeah, but you get fucked up every Friday night. And yes, Peppermint, he's British. So okay, fair enough, Stuart. Yeah, that's it. You're too lazy to type it out. Oh, the secret to bowling ball shoulders. You've got to pin lots of tests in them. Lots of gear. Yeah. That's how all those guys who have bowling ball shoulders have them. They do a lot of sight shooting in their ducts. Yes, you go see a GVS, he pins them, man. You can see where he pins them. You know, C-Bum does too. C-Bum uses a lot of sight enhancement in those shoulders. A lot of testing, trend, and whatever in those. May not be trend actually. Probably a lot of primo. You know. So who are you comparing yourself to at the bowling ball shoulders? I mean, I think that's a problem too. Look, when you called him out on pinning his delta, yeah. I mean, we saw it with GVS. You literally saw it. It's like you literally could see where he started shooting the triceps a few weeks or a month or two later. It's just funny. And you call him on that, he makes videos about it. Oh, nice. You clearly are. You clearly are. But that's normal in bodybuilding, you know. Very normal in the bodybuilding world. Dips the fish, you no longer hurt sternum whatsoever. It's been 3 weeks now. I'm adding a 25-pound plate. Still no pain. Turtle bob. That's good stuff, man. No, dips are great exercise too. As long as you're doing them pain-free and you're not having any pain, you can do the full range of motion and it's smooth. They're a great movement. You know, if they hurt you, then they're not a great movement. But they dips bring a lot to the table. Like they're fantastic exercise as long as you can do them safely. You know, you have a theory. We get theories. We'll get a conspiracy theory in here. No, it's all good. I think it can. I mean, well, lifting can make your sternum strong. Bench pressing makes your sternum stronger. Right? We improve bone density with those heavy chest exercises. You suppose a weakness I needed to address in it? Yeah, maybe so. It could be. Sometimes that is the case. Also, get those likes up, guys. This one's going to be a little slower, but that's okay. We'll make up for it in the afternoon. That's my theory. Do not really do some crazy conspiracies, right? Yeah. That's something I always address when it comes to nutrition stuff when people bring that up. I do not believe in conspiracy stuff anymore at this point. I haven't for a long time. I've distanced myself from it. So the second your fitness advice falls back to anything involving the global elite, I'm just going to reject it outright. That's not evidence. It's just, you know. Good morning, Paul. How you doing? I saw your post. I haven't read it yet because I was on my bike. Right? We were doing cardio when you sent that through. Let me investigate though. Let's see Paul's calories. A little bit over, but we'll get it sorted. We have seen it, Paul. Sending me his diet accountability. But it's the thing. We meet clients where they are. Got to deal with people who are in the real world. Thanks, tons of cantaloupe and Greek yogurt. There we go. Get those binges under control. I mean, Paul, if you want to share with any of the people here any of the strategies I've given you for the binge eating, feel free to type it. Yeah, exactly, Turtle. That's the point. I mean, and the problem is they go down crazy rabbit holes. And I think what people forget when they get mad at me and they pull the sheep thing, or you're just not aware. And I'm like, I don't think they understand how knowledgeable I am of every major conspiracy theory going back 25 years. right? I probably know more than they do about every major conspiracy theory in existence down every rabbit hole. And I reject all of it. Hey, Stuart, I'm not going to tell you the reason. There are reasons based upon everything in my life and based upon my further research. But definitely the low video didn't do what I wanted it to do. And I'm in a situation now to just go ahead and do it this way. So I'm going to do it, but I'm not going to tell you why. Like, no offense intended to followers, but you're not entitled to a why. Right? That would be a 3-hour explanation of very, very personal details of my life. So the answer is you don't get an answer. Just live with it. Just enjoy the streams. Paul says fiber and lean protein essentially, right? Well, Paul, you're missing the part of that's our solution when you feel the binge come on. Like, right. So that's maybe what people are missing, because everyone's going to be like, oh yeah, he tells him we deal with binge eating by just eating fiber and lean protein. Well, it's a little more intricate than that. Do you eat airplane food when you're flying? I've never seen a good nutrition that brings a break. David, it depends on the situation with the flying. I have in some cases I don't. It depends on what I'm doing with the flight time, the fasting, what I'm eating. What are your main protein sources? Keeping in mind, I get 50, 60, 70 grams of protein just from my plants every day. So that is part of it. Things like rice and potatoes and stuff are part of my protein. As far as my main animal source ones, my go-tos, chicken breast, Greek yogurt right now. I know you're nothing to do with lifting, but I know you're a fan of novels, and I believe Stephen King's retiring. So that's bad news. I haven't been reading novels lately. The only Stephen King novels I ever read were It and The Stand, and that's been a lifetime ago. That's been more than 20 years, way more than 20 years. I'll leave the stream. Have a good day. Okay, thanks, David. Take care, man. Without going into details, though, reading It, I don't know, kind of says a lot about Stephen King and not necessarily good things about his mindset. I read the first 4 Dark Towers and gave up. Yeah. The other thing I found helpful is drinking a lot of water. Yeah, that can be helpful too. Staying full with it. Greek yogurt was best advice I got from a coach with fruit on top, right? Dean was a client for a little while, actually. If you like crime, no, I don't like crime novels personally. Not my thing. I guess if you saw my novel collection, you'd understand. You'd be like, oh, Coach is a fantasy nerd. I literally have like 300 fantasy novels. I actually have like 50 books from Piers Anthony. I have 30 books from Terry Brooks. I have 30 Terry Brooks novels. I have like 50 Piers Anthony novels. Definitely got some George R.R. Martin. I've got some other stuff in there. I do have some harder, more in-depth fantasy too. I got a bunch of like Tad Williams. I will continue to put my food up. Let's see. All right. Any interest in boxing tonight? Canelo versus Crawford? No, I don't actually watch boxing. I did watch the whole fight with the last Tyson thing that Jake Paul and Tyson, whatever. Yeah, I watched that, but that's been it. Bob says I had breakfast of a dozen scrambled eggs with half a pound of pepper jack cheese, melted on half an onion. I know it's a lot of it. Dude, that's a lot of saturated fat. I don't know that that's necessarily the wisest choice from a heart health perspective, right? You know. Saw a video of Eddie sparring with Tom Aston, UFC fighter, and beating him around the ring. Well, I think people have to remember size and strength matter. There's a reason there's weight classes in fighting sports. There's a reason for this. I don't know why people don't understand this. Tom beat Eddie. I don't know. You're right, but it's what I eat. Okay, fair enough, Turtle. You do need to think about your heart health in the long term, Turtle. Just saying, as a fitness person, just planting seeds. Just planting seeds, man. Yeah, let's make your post again soon. I understand your concern, and I won't argue with your allergy. It's something I should work on. There we go. Fair enough. See, that's all we can ask. Right? It's all we can ask. I mean, I'm just planting seeds, Turtle Bob. Over time, let it sink in. Think about it. Just remember that I told you that, and it's something just to think of. I'm just planting seeds, my friend. I'm not even criticizing you, just planting some seeds. Health is wealth. Right? Eddie was really giving him a run around. But maybe Tom was not taking it seriously. I don't know. Maybe I didn't see it. Could be. Eddie is tough. And yeah, I mean, keep in mind, Eddie is a trained fighter and he is insanely strong. Always put that in context. So it's not like he's just some random lifter in a ring with someone. So we do need a context for this. He does have a fighting background. He is a trained fighter who happens to be at an insanely elite strength level. So always keep that in mind when we talk about Eddie being in a ring with someone. I remember my grandfather used to tell me to stop eating so much eggs, and he would turn around and he'd have a stick of butter. His pancake, yeah. The butter is far worse than the eggs. He also used to be an Olympic level swimmer. Yeah, I mean, Eddie is a pretty well-rounded athlete, all things considered. He really is. We could argue that the size and body weight he's at is not necessarily athletic or healthy always, but he is a very well-rounded athletic background. He's not just some guy who just lifted weights. You know, let's be realistic about that. You know, yeah. I mean, he's a well-rounded elite athlete. So, so always we need a context for those things, right? We need always have to put it in perspective. He never did butter also had saturated fat. He was worried about his family more than himself. Anyway, best man I ever met. There you go. I'm worried about his son Maximus. Oh, you're talking about Eddie's son? Yeah, with the lifting we're seeing. I know I've made my own comments about it. But what are you going to do? It's not like Eddie Hall is going to listen to any of us. I mean, it's that Eddie Hall doesn't really listen to other people. Yeah, he keeps that with the form we're seeing. And I'm saying that as a strength coach. We're going to see injuries. It's just, what do you do? Eddie's not going to listen. Again, it's Eddie Hall. He's kind of known for being a pretty stubborn dude who's going to do stuff his own way. Those people that gifted doesn't listen to others. Right, exactly. Right. Yeah, what do you do? Yeah, I respect Eddie for that, but it's also his Achilles heel. Yeah, absolutely. Why would they? They've never had to. Exactly. He's like, I'm the world's strongest man and broke these deadlift records on my own without listening to anybody. Why do I need you? What are you going to tell me? So, I mean, I get where they're coming from, too. Like you said, you can respect it and still admit it could be an Achilles heel. But it's not going to change. It's his personality type. It's just who he is. It's his personality type. It's not going to change. But at the end of the day, dude has done some pretty elite things in sports, in strength sports. Right? Steve says on Facebook, how long does a max effort workout take for lower body? How long does it take for you to do your one rep max training or back off? It's not going to be a set amount. It depends on how much work you're doing on a max effort day. That's more dependent upon the back off work. The max effort part can be done in like 15 minutes. You can get the ME work down to about 15, 20 minutes real quick if you're pretty efficient with it. The other stuff is dependent on what you're doing. It literally depends on what you are doing. I don't currently do conjugate, by the way, with ME days. I do full body 3 days a week. My workouts are up to 2 hours. I take my time with it. But as far as that goes, it really depends on the lifter. I have clients who we get their ME days done in 45 minutes. I've had others who are an hour and a half on their ME days. So there's not a set thing for that, Stephen. All right, back over to the tubes. I also hit a 330-pound total weighted chin-up, so I'm pretty much on cloud. There you go, Turtle. I respect Jason more than Eddie and Ripito. All right, fair. I appreciate that, Scott. Why is that? I'm actually curious. In the short time we have left in this far, line this down. Feel free to say why. But I know you do. You send supers and you comment in here, so clearly you do. Maybe winding this down shortly, though. We put in an hour on this. I did over a 30-minute run already, too. I love listening to hilarious podcasts. Ripto was pretty funny in those. I disagree with him on a lot of stuff, but he was funny. Cantankerous old dude. All right. I'm going to go ahead and end the Facebook. All right, guys. Go ahead and wind this down, though. Love you guys. I'll do another live later this afternoon, maybe some events, sitting down. So I'll talk to you guys later.